Hello, 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 hello. Let me know if you can hear me, chat. I'm just organizing things on OBS. I might be a little bit quiet, actually. I might have to move my mic. I'm trying a new one. Took me a little while longer than I expected to get ready. But yeah, press 1 if you can hear me and see me. Internet connection seems good. Great. Thank you ever so much, Sonny. Yeah, hello, hello. Okay, so I'm just fixing my mic now because I'm worried I might be a little bit quiet, if I'm honest with you. Hi, Dean. Hello, Echoed. Thanks for hopping in. God, there's so many of you. It's happening so fast. Whoop. I'm at TwitchCon, by the way, and I've had quite an eventful. I don't know how to put it. I'm glad I've got all of the catastrophes over and done with before the main event. Is all I'm gonna say, because fuck, was it challenging, honestly. Yeah, the mic is a little bit low. Okay. I'm trying to think where I could put it, where it would make a difference and where it would be loud enough. I'm just trying to think. The alerts are quite loud too. Oh, oh, I don't know why that's making everything move. Bear with. Let's see what I can do about that. So, the alerts are a lot louder than the mic. Let's see what we can do. Um, I'm guessing this is the desktop audio. I can turn that down a little bit. So, thanks, Ghostmaster, by the way. I guess I just have to wait until one of you is feeling charitable to know whether or not I fixed it or fixed it enough. Oh, there we go. Thanks, Trouser Demon. Was that any better? Did that do the thing? Thanks for the bits. I appreciate it. Sure, saw a shitload of rabbits today on my walk to work this morning. I think there isn't a group of rabbits called a fluffle. Isn't that the actual court-assigned legal name of a group of rabbits? I don't think it's a shitload. I don't think I ever read that in a children's book. Oh my God, Rain, thank you so much. You're amazing. Thank you for hopping in. I know it's not my usual time, but I'm so glad to see you. Thanks for being so generous. How's the Netherlands? I like the food. I like the atmosphere. It feels safe. And you know, someone told me today that the reason why um, this city looks the way that it does is because it got tits, it got tits, it got tits, it got fake tits, it got fake. What did it get? It got rebuilt after the Second World War, and they just built it up to be like really beautiful and really modern. But that doesn't really check out very well for me because that happened to a lot of cities in the UK, and they are beyond shitholes. Like it being rebuilt after the World War didn't really do them any favors. So I don't think that is the sole reason why it looks so fucking good. But it does look good around here. Oh, hang on. I'm getting mod messages, and it's hard to ping between them all. I'm looking at mod. I'm looking at staff chat. So I don't know where you just sent that, but I don't see it in the chat. Can you put it whatever it was in the chat in the mod chat? Okay, I will go over. Hmm. I I don't. I think I'm good. I don't think that's a good idea. But thanks for the suggestion. Can we keep all chat to the usual chat so I don't have to ping around as well? That would be good. I love you. But yeah, if this mic is if this if this if this mic is too quiet, there are things I can do. If the mouse allows. There we are. Okay, so I can't turn it up. However, maybe I can move it somewhere where it can be a little bit louder. Maybe that's the play. Well, I've moved it like a tiny bit closer. Does that make any difference, chat? Much better. There we go. Beautiful. Vanstock, thank you so much. Oh, and Mert, thanks for the gift subs. You're absolutely amazing. Sounds better already. I think it's perfect. Good, good. Okay. Very, very cool. So yeah, are there any questions? How many of you are actually going to go to TwitchCon? I bet most of you who are watching right now probably aren't going, are you? Uh-uh. Thanks, Mishy. I appreciate you gifting that sub. Not me. I'm in the US, sadly. Yeah, it's a big old trip from the US. I'm not surprised that a lot of people from the US didn't make it over because it is a big, big flight. That said, though, I do go over to the US for the second TwitchCon of the year. Oh, and it is a huge, huge flight, but I think it's worth it. I actually think that TwitchCons have gotten so good that it's worth the flight. I might be biased, but genuinely, there is so much to do. You get to explore a new place. You have like a whole community to engage with. There's loads of new stuff to be introduced to. A lot of games companies get involved, and you quite often get like previews and shit of really cool games. And yeah, there's just always fun stuff to do, like unforgettable, completely unique stuff to do at every con. So like it is a pretty cool experience, and it's a good excuse to like explore the area as well. So you don't have to travel all the way just for the TwitchCon. You can travel that way for everything that's included as well. Shh. Have you ever been, Sonny? He's like, yeah, it seems like a good idea, but have you ever been? Nah, not yet. I didn't think so. I think I'd remember if I bumped into you. Are you really in the Netherlands now? Yeah, why would I lie? Like, it would be a bit odd at this hour. I have a meet and greet at like 12 tomorrow. So it would be really dumb of me to literally be anywhere else right now. Because knowing me and how bad I am with like travel, like last time I took the train to Amsterdam, I was stranded for like 7 hours. I'm not even exaggerating. Should have been an hour or two of train to get over from the UK to the Netherlands. And it was 7 hours. It was awful. And I was ill as well, really fucking ill. So yeah, I don't think that I would risk being far away from the Netherlands right now if I have something to be at the TwitchCon for tomorrow. Hey, thank you so much, Leaky. I appreciate the gift set. How you like Rotterdam so far? Well, I've actually been here before, and to be honest, it's one of the cooler places to visit. I like the street art, I like the food and the cafes, I like how beautiful and modern it is. Everything is better built, better designed. The public transport, the streets, everything, everything is so much better than it is in the UK or the US, to be honest. Everywhere I've been in the US couldn't compare to how well put together Rotterdam is. Rotterdam is better than Amsterdam. I haven't explored enough to say that for sure. Right now, for me, they're both on equal footing. So I don't know what it would take to tip one over the edge for me, but so far I like them equally. Yeah, the UK is pretty bleak. Well, the UK is it depends on where you are, to be honest with you. There are bleaker places to be than others. Most of the UK is bleak. I don't know. I'm gonna say this, Bryce. There are really good bits and there are bad bits. Okay, and like anywhere with shit weather's gonna seem bleak. So I feel like the Scottish are gonna be biased. I feel like there are whole swathes of the country that are always going to be cold and wet, and those are the worst places to judge the country by. But it's also like 90% of the country. I'm gonna say that. The Isle of Skye sounded nice. It is. It's really, really pretty. I'll give you that. Mm-mm, mm-mm. Would you go to Latin America? Is Latin America just all of the South area? Is that what that is? Like, um, is Latin America like places like Mexico, Brazil, Argentina? Oh, okay, cool. I kind of feel like I would love to, but like every time I research certain areas down there, like all of the reviews and things say, well, don't go to this area, it's dangerous. Don't go to that area, it's dangerous. And I'm like, I don't feel like I know enough to pick good spots. And I don't trust myself to research it properly to be like, well, where are the cool places? Where are the safe places? You know? And it might just all be complete propaganda. It might all just be complete like exaggerations. But given what I'd be risking, I want to be sure. Yeah, you can get unlucky anywhere, but better to stack your odds in your favor for sure. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, I would love like some tourist recommended. Did that fix it? Hang on. Did that fix it? Can you hear me now? It did. It was just, for some reason, it just clicked mute on OBS. So, we all good. We all good. I don't know what mic you're on now, but it definitely isn't the small mic. Wait, let me check that. Well, let me check that. Let me check that. Prepare your ears. Okay, so if I take this off and move it closer. Oh fuck, that's not the same mic, is it? Hello, hello, hello. Hello, 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 hello.
I don't think it is it? Nope. Okay, yeah, I don't know what mic I just used. Where's the bathtub stream? I considered it, but didn't go with it today. But seeing as this isn't in use, I can pull it out of my top. Yeah, I guess this is the laptop mic, and if it's better, it's better. I guess we've done the experiment with this little mic and it's not worth it, apparently. But yeah, I don't know. I was literally about to ask you where the fuck are cartels? Where, like, there's a place that's famous for cartel, but I don't know where it is. There's been plenty of horrible pictures of, like, cartel victims, but I don't know where the cartels are. That's Mexico. Okay, good to know. Have you met any other streamers there? Not yet, but I expect that I will. There are lots of parties and things to go to. However, like, I think I've casually passed a bunch of streamers I know, but I haven't walked up to them or spoken to them because we're all socially awkward. And also I'm terrible at not recognizing people in person that I know on the screen. And so I don't want to walk up to someone and go, "It's you, good to see you," and it totally not be that person. So I'm too worried about that to actually be assertive and walk up to people, which means that I have shiftily side-eyed a few people and they've shiftily side-eyed me, and then we've gone about our business separately without interacting with each other so far. But that's really, really common for content creators. It's typical content creator behavior because a lot of us don't really know how to interact with humans in the real life and are used to talking to a little camera in the comfort of their own home and aren't really used to engaging with people IRL. And it's different and it can be terrifying. So you don't like it? Shut up! Did you bring some sea glass? I didn't, and I feel so sad about it. Like, I was in such a mad rush. I didn't sleep all night. Packing, preparing, booking, sorting, and I just didn't get round to it. At the very last second, I thought about it, but then I got distracted, and that was in the, like, last 5 minutes, so I doubt I would have been able to bring very much of it anyway. Oh yeah, it's been really, really stressful for the past few days, to be quite honest with you. Why doesn't everyone wear a username badge? Well, we get given username badges. Like, your TwitchCon badge does typically have your username on it. And you do have to wear that on the convention floor. But, like, I've seen plenty of the content creators just out and about, not at the convention. And it tends to be that people aren't wearing their badges when they're just going about their life and their day. So, yeah, like, that aspect of it. Also, you have to walk up to someone and, like, really look close, and their badge has to be facing the right way. And a lot of people, especially very famous people, turn their badge so that the part that has your username is against you, so that you don't get as much, like, so you don't get bothered as much, you know? Because, like, getting anywhere on the, like, at the convention can be challenging if everybody constantly stops you, which happens often, to be honest with you. Are you going to be hosting something? No, not this time round. I think all I have planned specifically is just the meet and greet tomorrow. I don't think I'm doing Dick. I don't think I'm doing much else. Not at the convention. Like, there's probably going to be quite a few, like, parties and get-togethers and stuff outside of that, but I doubt I'll have anything else, like, that I have to do this particular TwitchCon, which is fine with me. I actually like the idea of it not being really, really busy, because it gives me a fighting chance of actually exploring Rotterdam and seeing why so many of you are saying fuck off, that you'd rather that you prefer Rotterdam to Amsterdam even. There we go, got there in the end. Ha! Hi! I love you, you slut. How's the hotel room? The hotel's pretty nice. I mean, it's a decent stay. I would say I'd say it's probably like, on the score of all the hotels I've ever been to, it's probably a 7, a solid 7. Shut up! Hope there's aircon. Nothing worse than hot night at a hotel without aircon. Well, to be honest with you, a lot of European places aren't just ridiculously hot like that. So usually most hotels, like, they have some way of regulating the temperature in the air, but it's not like humid or boiling hot in most places in Europe I've ever been, to be honest. I mean, sure, there must be hot countries, but I don't think that TwitchCon has ever been held at one. I hope you like dick. I hope. That's an unusual cushion for Rotterdam. Well, I didn't pick it, so I wouldn't know. Also, I really have no idea what kind of cushions Rotterdam has. I'm completely straight, miss. I'm pretty sure that most people would have believed you until you brought it up. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Like, if you're just minding your own business, having a cup of tea, and the stranger next to you goes, by the way, I've never murdered anyone, and if I did, I definitely wouldn't do it with a hot red poker in the ass, because dying of shock is terrible, and that would be horribly immoral. And I don't even know how to bury bodies anyway, or cremate them. And even if I did cremate someone, I definitely wouldn't tip them in the river, because I feel like that would be terrible. They should be tipped somewhere more respectful, don't you think? Like, because that's how it comes across. That was oddly specific. If you really think about it though, everything is pretty oddly specific. There isn't really an example that would be more generic that I could have brought up, because every single example that I could have brought up would be very specific. It's kind of like whenever people say, hey, how many chips do you want? And I'll say like 7, and they'll go, that's oddly specific. And it's like any quantity of chips would have been specific. Like, no one single number is more specific than another. And it's weird when people are like, you could have rounded up, you could have said 5 or 10 or 20 or 15. I'm like, they're all specific numbers too. They're all specific. "9/11. To be fair though, 69 and 420 are pretty gamer-specific numbers. Yeah, but like they are still very specific numbers. Like, you see them a lot in gamer tags and stuff, but it's usually a way to either broadcast your virginity or your absence of brain cells. Like, it's not ever really used effectively in any other way. Wow. Are you gonna get offended? Like, okay, so maybe I should put like a delicate, nice little disclaimer on that, right? And that is that I'm not against other people smoking weed. If you want to smoke weed or do whatever you want with weed, that's between your body and you. Like, no judgment from me. However, when you make it your entire identity, I'm going to assume you do it so much you probably have trouble remembering your own pet's name or kid's name if you have any kids. Like, I think that when you have 420 in your name, you are starting to identify with it. And like, on average, if you smoke weed once while you're a teenager, it takes 2 weeks for your IQ to return to the normal rate it was before you smoked it. It depletes, and it takes 2 weeks without smoking any weed for your brain to recover back to normalcy. And the older you get, the longer the time period is that you have to have not consumed any in order for your brain to recover. And a lot of people who have like 420 in their name are definitely not having recovery hours, let alone days, let alone weeks. How about people with 69 in their names? I kind of feel like it's one of those situations where people who have 69 don't need to tell everyone that they've 69'd. You know what I mean? Like, if a guy tells you he has a 6-incher, it's probably 2. Because the guys who have 6 inches don't really feel the need to tell anyone and don't care if you know, right? Like the guys who insist they're 6 foot when they're actually like 5'8". There are like, I feel like putting 69 in your name is a surefire way. Like, it's something that like teenage boys do because they're embarrassed when they shouldn't be. Like, I kind of feel like it's weirder if you're a young person and you have done things like that. But for some reason among young people, they're like, no, I'm not a virgin, what the fuck? And it's like, chill, dude, you're supposed to be at your age, that's normal. But they're like, no, I've seen plenty of pussy, you know? And like, that's usually the mentality that like lands a 69 in someone's name. It's never people who have ever done it. It's never people who are ever any good at it. It's never people like, yeah. It only seems like a big thing to people who've never done it. Did you know that in ancient Greece, tiny dongs were considered more attractive? I don't think that they were considered more attractive. As far as I understand it, it was the smaller peen was considered higher class. So like, you were a refined gentleman if you had a tinier, daintier peen, and you were a more animalistic brute if you had a large dong, by their standards. So statues of men with large ones were depicted as quite, you know, gap-toothed, brutal, hairy, like, usually doing something barbaric in those particular statues. But the statues of refined men that were considered like of high status and, you know, who were considered impressive or were considered heroes were given tiny little penises. I don't think that actually equates to what women found attractive at the time. I think that was like an aspect of their like male gazy kind of, I feel like that was a more male thing that they were doing, not a indication of what was more sought after or demand. I mean, we still do the same thing today. Extremely muscular men are not as attractive to women but they're considered the apex of beauty. Their muscles are more celebrated, like heroes and characters that are considered like really beautiful and really strong and really capable are often depicted to a muscular degree that women wouldn't typically go for. So is it considered more attractive? Typically no. But is it considered more desirable and like more acceptable as a body type by society? Yes. So like, and it's very male gazy yet again. Even straight men will have boy pretty, which is like what they would class as an attractive body. Like men would tend to think that far more muscular men are attractive than women do. Like the slider of like, if you could turn up muscles up or down, men will push the slider higher when trying to design a attractive man than women would. So we still have those sorts of beauty standards today, and I think like if you look back at ancient Greece, I think there was a little bit of that with peen size, to be quite honest with you. How have you enjoyed my hometown so far? Anything that caught your attention? I love the street art. Like, the murals are absolutely stunning. Like, the best murals I've seen anywhere in the world. I feel like the worst graffiti I've ever seen, like the crappiest graffiti I've ever seen, was in Paris. I never saw a single bit of good art. It was always tagging, and it was always really crude, badly done, patchy tagging. And it was often like the same three people just over and over again. There was a street I went down, and I can't remember the name of the person. I think it was like Baza or something. And he just spray painted Baza like every, like, I don't know, 50 feet along this road. Oh, Baza again. Oh, there he is again. Oh, Baza again. And like that was like pretty much the only fucking graffiti. And it's like really, really, really badly done. And like, it's this like polar opposite here. You'll see beautiful drawings of like giant foxes, moons, rabbits, wildlife, beautiful ferns and foliage, and just all this like, and big portraits, really artistic, colourful portraits. I love the street art here. It's really beautiful, and it's really well placed as well. So like you get a good view of it. So yeah, I think that's one of my favourite things. The architecture here is really fucking cool. Love the architecture as well. Whoa, I've not seen any of it yet. What, Juice? Are you in? I didn't think you were in Rotterdam. This is where I find out. Wait, you are? Oh my god. You didn't tell me at all. Holy shit. Does that mean I'm gonna see you at some point? I bet, dude. You coming to my meet and greet? Oh, long silence. There we go. I thought the long silence meant, sure, maybe if I get time, after I, like, do you know what's really fucking scary? Like, they've put me next to all the big important streamers. They've given me, like, prime time next to all the big names, and I'm like, what? No one's gonna come to mine if there's, like, fucking pirate software and, like, all the cool people. Why did you put me in the cool people roster? What the fuck? Like, how am I ever gonna see anyone? You are a big and important streamer. Fuck you. I'm 5'2". But also, like, one of the things that I've been really struggling with is food. Like, I really just want to eat, and like, one of the things I have to, like, give me your fucking travel hacks, dude. Because I don't know how to eat cheap out here. Like, I keep ordering in, like, vegan takeout, because obviously you can't cook in the hotel. There's not, like, kitchen stuff to cook with. And, like, I don't have time to go wandering around in the street looking for somewhere to eat, to sit down out there. And takeout is expensive, and it's usually one of the biggest expenses I have when I travel is ordering in food. And then, like, the options get smaller and smaller the later it gets, and I'm a night owl. I don't think there is a way to eat cheaply while traveling. That's not the answer I was hoping for, but fine. What on earth is a capsulin though, Le Marquise? And can you get it vegan? Because I don't eat meat. I haven't eaten meat I haven't eaten my whole life, but I haven't eaten any like dairy and eggs since I was 16. So, yeah. I don't know if there's I don't know what goes in that, but I'm guessing by the sound of it, probably not something I can have. Order at daytime, eat at night. Yeah, I would, but takeout is ass once it gets cold. Like, you can't reheat it. I hate that. I mean, I did try to live off Trek bars when I was in America because I thought I'll save money. They're filling, they're small, they don't need cooking, they don't need waiting for. And then I didn't shit for like a week, and I'm never doing that again. Like, apparently, whatever the fuck they're made of, my body just makes it into cement and it just doesn't leave me. Yeah, I felt pregnant. It was horrendous. How can one get a wife like Anita? I feel like people like me typically don't want to be wives, so good luck with that. Pot noodles are the answer. To be fair, that might be a good shout. I don't know if they have pot noodles here in Rotterdam, but I could always just pack some. They're incredibly light. That might be the play. I love you, I love you, I love you, you slut. You can't hold a goddess down. I just kind of feel like smart girls don't, it's not really necessary anymore. It's basically just DEI for men. Like back when marriage was useful was when we banned women from having equal pay and having the right to work and the right to own a bank account. There are women still alive today who remember a time in the UK where you couldn't have a bank account and things like this, right? So it's very, very recent. It's within, human lifetime that there was a time where you would have to marry a man to get access to money, property, land, a bank account, everything. So you had to marry a guy who was doing well for himself, who had a good job, had a good income, because you weren't just choosing someone for love, you were choosing them for your quality of life, and it was a business decision because of the way that the law worked. It had to be a business decision as well. Nowadays it isn't. Women are allowed to provide for themselves, so they can get into relationships for love, not for resources or safety or to get by in society. So it doesn't really have much use anymore. You can get with someone and be with them for the rest of your life, and it wouldn't really matter whether or not you had a pompous ceremony in a church and wore a costume or anything. Like, none of that would matter. And when it comes to like tax breaks, most relationships end, so losing half your stuff probably doesn't make up for the tax breaks anyway of a divorce. So with all of that in mind, it doesn't really make a lot of sense anymore to waste all of that money and time on marriage when it doesn't mean anything more than an I love you, I want to be with you for the rest of my life. Like, if you say that, it shouldn't really matter whether it was in a church or not, or whether or not it was in a registry office or not. In my mind, getting married is about saying to everyone important to you, we are committing to each other forever, support us in this effort. So I kind of feel like when my family has a partner, I don't need them to have a ceremony and spend loads of money on all of that for me to be like, okay, and just support my family in the relationships that they're in. It's like if someone brought home their boyfriend and was like, this is the guy I'm dating, I wouldn't be like, have you married him? And if they're like, no, I'd be like, he's dead to me. He doesn't exist. You know, bring him back when he's put a ring on it. Until then, he's nothing. Who does he think he is? Like, oh, I kind of feel like if someone's family, they're going to support you in who you pick. Whether you know, no matter how you claim them, you know? Yeah, no need to spend 50k for that. Legally, it matters over shared property and money, etc. It can do, doesn't have to. There are other ways to go about that. Huh. But yeah, it's kind of like not as necessary, and it has been quite a misogynistic institution for quite a while. For example, it's always the woman who has to change her name, erase her lineage, go to her bank, her doctor, her like everything that registers a name, and change her legal name for all of those people. He doesn't have to do jack shit, right? That all of the burden and all of the loss is pushed on a woman for marriage. So, like, it's an institution that was never made for women, was never made by women or for women. It's not beneficial to us anymore. Like, the small benefit it used to have is gone. So it's not really necessary in love. You can love someone and be with them and share your life with them and share your house with them without having to marry someone at all. It kind of is just like a piece of paper at this point. Do you think it should both have to change their name, or do you think it should shift to a new role of responsibility? I kind of find it weird that we don't have matrilineal name changing, or at least for children. I don't really care whether people change the name for like marriage and stuff, but I can clearly see that it's biased towards men because it's always the woman who's expected to change her name, right? But I kind of feel like the only time it really matters is when you're having kids, and that the kids should always take the mother's name. Always. Because it's the mother's baby and the father's maybe. Like technically without a paternity test, the kid could be anyone's, but you know it's the mother's. So 100% of the time, the bloodline of the names going down would be 100% accurate, leading through all of history if it was always matrilineal. And it is for many countries. There are loads of countries that do matrilineal naming of children for this exact fucking reason. It's very, very easy to verify who genetically the child belongs to if you follow the mother's line. But at any point, any mother could have cheated, and it might be inaccurate if you go by the male name. So with that in mind, like, it's weird to me that people have to change their name at all in marriage, and it's weird to me that we ever name children after fathers. Really weird to me. Also, it feels weird, like, imagine you carved a beautiful sculpture and it took you 9 years, and somebody like spent 15 minutes helping you carve the toe, right? And their name was on the plaque as the artist and not yours. Or like, imagine if something was built entirely in China and you imported it to the US and you put a label on it, and the label was technically made in the US, so you put made in the US on this thing that was entirely made in China. And that's also how I kind of feel about naming children after their dads. It's like, she put in all the effort, it's hers. I'm sorry, but you can't work on it for 15 minutes and expect to have an equal claim to this child. Like, she made it, not you. Like, it's genetically similar to you, but she made it. That kind of happens. Bad analogy. Yes, it happens, and it's wrong. It's why I used it as an analogy. So you could understand conceptually that you would feel duped if you spent 3 times as much money on a bag because you thought it was made locally, but it turns out only the label was made locally and the entire bag was made in China. You would feel ripped off. You would kind of feel stolen from, right? And I kind of feel like we steal from women by naming children after their fathers. Adoption being the obvious exception. I guess in a circumstance where your child wasn't made of I guess that takes the pregnancy out of the equation, and in that sense it probably wouldn't matter who they were named after. But yeah, I kind of feel like if you get someone pregnant but you want the child named after you, that's kind of messed up. Because they built it. Like, they should be able to it's their legacy. They built it. Like, women lose bone density and IQ. They sacrifice a huge amount of things from their own body to create this thing. Like, it's weird to put your stamp as if it was made by you on this thing that somebody else made. How much control should mothers have over their children? I kind of feel like I don't feel like you can control children. I don't think you own them. I don't think they're an extension of you. I think that children aren't, you just keep them alive until they find out who they are. You don't get to decide who they are. You don't get to decide who they become. You don't get to decide what they like or what they care about. You don't even truly get to define their morals and ethics, even though a lot of parents are like, no, my kid's going to become this or that. No child of mine would ever do this or that. The truth of the matter is that all of us are things that our parents would have never wanted. All of us have either beliefs or traits or hobbies. Like, none of us meet 100% of our parents' expectations. So I just kind of feel like control is the worst word, because I feel like most controlling behaviors in parents are actually abusive. Unless they're for your child's safety and they're legitimate concerns, then I feel like control is the worst thing you should be doing as a parent. But I don't know, how many of you plan to even have kids? I feel like a lot of people come into chat and they want to talk to me about my plans with children and my beliefs about children, but how many of you even want kids? Like, why would it matter how I feel about kids when I have a feeling that in a gamer-based community, I bet you more people than not would prefer to be child-free. Like, press 1 if you want kids, press 2 if you don't want kids. Let's take a vote. Like, how many of you even want kids? Yeah, I kind of feel like it's quite normal to not want them. In this area of the world, and like in the gamer sphere, it's quite common. I have kids, that's a 1, I guess. It doesn't have to be a 1. It is a completely safe space here. If you had kids, but if you had an undo or a redo button or a time machine, you probably wouldn't have kids. That is still a 2. You know, in an ideal world, if you had been asked if you wanted kids, you would, whether that would change things, then, you know, that's still a 1. You can have kids, wait, a 2 even. Like, you can have kids and be like, I still don't want kids and never did want kids. There were plenty of people in that boat. that was weird. I just heard like a sound. Did you guys hear that kind of knocking sound? It sounded like it came from out the window, but I'm very high off the ground, so that doesn't make sense. I would look out there, but it's probably not a good idea on stream. But yeah, I don't think kids are for me, and I think that's okay. I don't think that everyone has to contribute by having children. You've contributed by raising over 3,000 animals. Yeah, but I also, well, thank you for that, but I kind of feel like there are so many ways that you can change the entire timeline. Like, we're all creating the universe right now. If you had a time travel machine and you could delete any one of us from the timeline, the universe would be entirely different without any individual one of us. We immensely change our environment, we change the course of history, and a lot of the ways that we change the world we're not even fucking aware of. So like, you could accidentally trip over in the street one day, and because you did that, 2 people laughed at the same time and got talking and ended up married and had like generations upon generations of children upon children upon children for like the next 3,000 years. A whole bloodline exists that wouldn't if you hadn't tripped that day. And you might go to work and have a shitty day and come home and go, well, that was really fucking pointless, and have no clue that you were pivotal in the creation of many individual lives, right? So I kind of feel like whether you like it or not, whether you think so or not, you're creating the universe with every day. You have a legacy whether you know it or not. You are important whether you know it or not. So I don't know that you absolutely have to have kids to leave a lasting mark on history. And kids are a bit of a weird one for that too, because one generation away, their DNA isn't even yours anymore. So if you think your DNA is a way to etch your signature into history, it kind of isn't, not really. There are way more direct ways, way more permanently and linked back to you ways to outlast your death. But I feel like it's kind of vain to want to outlast your death. I kind of feel like one of the ways we try to cope with death, one of the ways we try to cope with the finite nature of existence, is to try and outlive and outlast death through our deeds. A lot of people see children as a way to escape death, because a part of you continues to live on. And I don't really want to tear open my vagina, go through all that stress and pain, and then dedicate my existence to someone else just to avoid an uncomfy feeling that a little bit of therapy or a little bit of philosophical reading could, help me with immediately, by comparison, much quicker and much more cheaply. And I know not everyone feels about that same way, and I'm glad that not everyone feels the same way as me. I feel like it's important to have people like me, and I feel like it's important to have people who are nothing like me. I think both genuinely need to exist. I think that there is an immense benefit to child-free people, because, there are people out there with 8, 10, 15 kids, and those people can only exist if there are an equivalent amount of people who have none. Otherwise, we'd all die of overpopulation. So, like, child-free people are a gift, and they're just as important as people who have kids. Absolutely. But to raise a kid and you proliferate your ideals and beliefs. If you don't birth a kid, adoption is still a very kind alternative. I kind of feel like proliferating your ideals and beliefs has absolutely no relationship to childbirth, especially when most children do not adopt the beliefs of their parents. Like, most Christian parents I know have atheist children. I mean, I'm not going to say that's the case for everyone all around the world or anything. I'm just saying on a personal level, I know a lot of religious parents, but I don't know a single religious parent in the UK who has religious kids. And that's a small, like, just a tiny example. I knew a guy who, his mom was an avid vegan, hippie, eco-warrior, you know, protester, that kind of person. Her son joined the army, is hyper macho, loves meat, boasts about eating meat, is completely a departure from his mom. I know so many people like that. I know so many people who were desperate for their kids to become doctors and their kids became musicians and artists. Like, I don't think you proliferate your ideas by creating a human being, because even if you create a human being, you don't get to decide what your kid believes. You just don't. You can tell them what you believe, you can educate them, but at the end of the day, it's just entirely up to them. And the more you try to force them to be like you, the more less likely they are to be like you at all, right? So genuinely, if you want to proliferate your ideals and beliefs, write a fucking book, idiot. Don't make a person for that. That's vain. Like, that's incredibly selfish. Like, you should be having a kid because you have extra love and resources to give to somebody else, you know? Not because you're like, well, I want free healthcare when I'm dying, or like, I want to make sure that somebody else has my beliefs and stuff. Like, I just want to bring someone into the world so I can pressure them to think like me. Like, that's kind of fucked up if you ask me. That's the worst way to proliferate your ideas and stuff. Like, and after you die, that all gets corrupted as well, because, you know, this person may not accurately believe all of your stories, all of your philosophies, may deviate from them slightly, and then when they have kids, they might pass on a watered down or diluted or inaccurate version of your ideals and beliefs. And that will only continue to change down by generation upon generation. You write a fucking book, and the print doesn't, like, warp and change over time. Like, those are your exact words. Like, if you're just obsessed with making other people like you, there are far more accurate and direct ways to attempt doing that than having a child. I think that, like, having a child is cool and everything, but the vainest, most selfish reasons are for you to prolong or extend yourself. Your children are not an extension of you. They're not. They are themselves. They are complete, unique individuals. You know, their achievements are not your achievements. Their life and opinions are not your life and opinions. So, yeah, but that's just my take on it anyway. I love you. So what's your take on adoption? I completely support adoption. I think it's a good idea. I think that the foster care system is abysmal and horrific, and a lot of really horrible child abusers get away with doing awful things to people in foster care, and that the earlier that they can be adopted into good homes, the better. And people who want to adopt are amazing for what they do, and it's life-changing and incredibly important. Like, who on earth would be against abortion? What do you mean, what's my take on abortion? Are you expecting me to be unhinged? There's the right answer, and then there's the unhinged answers. Like, why even ask that question? Do I seem like the kind of person who'd be against orphans having a good life? Like, what the fuck, dude? You mean adoption, not abortion? Oh, yeah, I mean adoption. Did he say abortion, or did I? Yeah, I meant adoption. Using adoption and abortion interchangeably. I'm tired, okay? Adoption is when parents are aborted? Oh my god. Oh my god. I didn't know until fairly recently that orphan is a term for anyone. You don't have to be a child. You can be an adult and become an orphan. Whenever someone says orphan, I think of, like, the kids in fucking Oliver Twist going, "Please, sir, can I have some more?" Like, I don't think of like 73-year-old Bill who's just lost his parents. Like, that's kind of interesting to me. Are you presenting any awards at TwitchCon? No. Are they handing out any awards at TwitchCon? I wasn't even aware that it was an awards ceremony. I thought that it was just a place where you go to buy stuff and, you know, do convention floor stuff, an event where you see people. I've never seen awards handed out at TwitchCon. That's news to me. Ah. Shit off. Are you gonna do a femboy counter this year? I mean, I could. I hadn't made any plans to. I just love how many femboy maids there are. Like, that's my favorite thing about TwitchCon. It's just how many femboy maids there are. It's amazing. Are you gonna kidnap any femboy maids this year? Dude, there aren't that many jobs going around for femboy maids. You don't have to kidnap them. All you have to offer them is like a clean bed and like 3 square meals a day, and they will come and live with you and do whatever you want a lot of the time. Yeah, you just like dangle a few treats in front of a box and go pss, 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 and they'll jump in the box. And it's not even just the ones with cat ears that works on either. It works on all of them. What's a treat for a femboy? It depends on what kind of femboy you want. Honestly. Because booze works on the rowdy ones, but the rowdy ones will smash your shit. You like they're chaotic, you know. You want one of the quiet ones that clean shit. If there was a way to raise kids in an incubator, every child-free person would do it. It's just a matter of convenience. DNA will be yours, and you would ideologically become bought child-free. I don't know if I actually agree with that, because I'm someone who doesn't want kids, right? And the thing is, I don't have very good genetics. So one of the reasons I don't want to have kids is because I would be inflicting a lot of suffering on that child, needlessly, right? And then on top of that, if we could manufacture children, if we could grow them in bags, which is a technology that exists, by the way, we can grow animals in bags. It's just not legal to grow humans in bags externally yet. But it probably will become legal in the future. And here's why, if you ask my opinion on this, right? It will probably become legal in the future to manufacture children because we will have a depleted workforce and very few people having kids. Male fertility is on the decline. I think it's halved in the past 10 years. And on top of that, a lot of women are not having kids because there aren't very many good options for people to co-parent with, basically. Also, the cost of living is extremely high, and there are a lot of people out there who just want kids but cannot afford them, right? So there are even most of the people who don't have kids want kids but can't afford them. The people who genuinely don't want kids are not going to be coaxed into having a screaming, shitting puke machine in their house just because they didn't have to be pregnant. Like, the pregnancy is very off-putting, yeah, sure. But, like, even if I could grow them in a bag, like, I don't think I could do my job. I don't think I could live my life and provide for an infant. Like, that would be very, very hard, right? So with all of that in mind, I don't think it's the only obstacle. But I do wonder if we're going to be producing babies in bags anyway, and that they won't necessarily be something that, like, people just do to avoid pregnancy. They may well be government mandated population. Like, there may well come a time where we manufacture, like, I don't know, just enough kids to either maintain the population or grow it slightly year upon year, just because a lot of our financial situation and a lot of our economy is based around infinite growth, and we're just not getting that out of humans right now. So, like, we are either going to have to extend human life, or we are going to have to start growing babies in bags. One of the two. We could extend human lives and we could make the retirement age like 173 instead of in your 50s or 60s, right? Or we could not give a shit about humans and not extend their life whatsoever, but just manufacture enough babies that whether we want to breed or not, our population is still increasing enough. That's awfully dystopian, IMO. We're already awfully dystopian if you hadn't noticed. Like, the more you learn about how the world works, we're already there. We're already there. So I don't think it would be any more or less unethical than what we're already doing. Like, once you fully understand what's happening right now and how our economic system works, babies in bags or making people live to 173 just so you can work them that long, like, either of those options pales in comparison to what we've been doing for money. Like, if you look into the banana industry alone, just bananas, innocent little fucking bananas. If you found out what went into getting bananas, just how many people have to die horribly for bananas, you'd know we're way past, like, babies in bags being an issue. That pales in like, the banana industry is less ethical than that. And so I don't know. I wouldn't put it beyond any government to eventually resort to it, to be quite honest with you. What can I as an individual do? What do you mean? Like, is that a response to me saying, wow, the world is dark and there's lots of bad things happening in it? Because I kind of feel like there's a stage of your childhood, typically, if you have a decent amount of empathy, where you sit there and go, fuck, there's a lot of suffering going on in the world and I don't want to sit by and just let it happen, but I'm not powerful enough to make it all stop. And for those of you who are in that position, who are, like, depressed and apathetic about the world because you can't fix all of it and you don't feel like it's good enough, the way that you combat that feeling is you either do the fireman theory or the starfish theory. And believe it or not, neither of them are spicy tales. None of this is going in a porn direction, I swear. And the fireman's theory is, if your entire house containing 20 friends and family was burning down, would you save none of them if you could only save some of them? So if you couldn't save every single person in that house, would you stand back and say it's pointless to save any? Or would you save as many people as you possibly could? Even if you knew that you're not getting 20 people out, would you try to save 6 if 6 was all you could save? Or would you be like, no, they should all die because I can't save all of them? Yeah, you save as many, of course. So just because you can't fix everything doesn't mean you're powerless, right? Like, that's painfully obvious. I think, like, sometimes lazy people tell themselves, there's nothing I can do. Even though there's so much you can fucking do. Because you want to opt out. Because you're too lazy and weak. Because you're the world's bitch. Because you'll let everyone else decide how things go even if you disagree with it. Because you're just too lazy to do anything about it. But the truth of the matter is that every change that we've ever had in our entire society, and it is progressively getting it better, by the way, more people can read than ever before, more people have access to healthcare than ever before, more people are educated than ever before. There are so many things that are so much better now than they could ever have been even like 50 years ago, right? And every single change that we've ever experienced was because it started with one person. It started with one fucking person. There was always going to be the first person to realize, hey, this is wrong, we can do better. Every movement, every single right you ever have, every single law that protects you, everything that's good about this world was done by someone. Someone had to start it. It all began with one person. Even if a group achieved it, someone had to have the idea to make this better. So, like, one person is responsible for every change. Every change on this planet is down to one person when you really get down to it. So just because you can't do everything doesn't mean that you can't do everything that you can. And you should apply yourself to something you give a shit about as well. You shouldn't be like guilting yourself into participating in stuff you don't care about. Do it about the shit you care about. Then there's the starfish theory, and that is the story of there's an enormous storm happening along this massive, massive, vast beach. The beach goes on as long and as far as you can see. And the waves are churning, there's lightning, there's rain, and the sea is throwing up millions of starfish. And a lot of these starfish come morning are going to dry up and die. And it's sad. And this little old man is walking along, and in one of the flashes of lightning, he sees a little boy who seems to be running around frantically in the sand. So he goes up to him and he's like, what are you doing? And he watches, and the little boy is picking up starfish and chucking them back into the sea. And the old man's like, why are you bothering with this? It's pointless. You can't save them all. It's not going to matter. And the little boy runs past him, picks up another starfish, throws it into the sea, and goes, it mattered to that one. So when you ask, what can I do? You do what you care about, and you do it because it matters. And you don't have to fix everything to make a difference. Shut up! But how do you know all this? I don't really know how to answer that question, because it doesn't feel like I'm actually saying anything too profound or anything that's completely beyond the realm of a human understanding. Like, I feel like this is a pretty normal level of human knowledge. So I don't know what to tell you. Like, I don't know if you expect me to have like one book that I read all of this in. No, it wasn't. It wasn't one source, one person. Like, I've lived an entire life. I've seen a lot of shit, and I've taken in what works, and I've left what doesn't. And that's just normal. Any average human with who's lived any life will still know things that you don't. Like, we all know things that you don't. We're all wells of knowledge. Yeah, we all know things. But also, like, even people you hate, even people you dislike, you have a lot more in common with than you don't. You know? And every single person you'll ever meet will know something that you don't.
Hello? Testing one,
Yeah.
2, 3. Is this thing on?
Strangely, I have no idea what to say. You guys are being very quiet today. Usually we have so much to talk about. The genitalia of barnacles can extend 8 times that of the rest of their body. Okay, that's not a question, but like it's oddly common for a lot of animals to have genitalia that extend further than their body or longer than their body. Like the biggest body to genitalia ratio is earwigs, and it's because they sexually select for larger Ds. Like female earwigs return to mate with and have a preference for well-hung individuals. So it's created a sexual selection where earwigs have enormously long penises, which would be very, very unfortunate with humans. I don't think that that could happen with us because the amount of blood flow it would take to engorge a penis that was several times longer than you, and then add to that there are definitely so many people out there with very little empathy and a sadistic streak that it would probably lead to more female deaths than it would children. So I feel like there's a sexual selection to limit the maximum dick size a human can typically have, and we know this because there are humans that have unusually large penises. So we know it's possible to have like a penis that like runs all the way down your leg, like past your knee. But it's very, very uncommon because it's completely useless. It's difficult to have conventional sex with someone. And yeah, like I feel like a lot of guys would just pass out from blood loss trying to get an erection if it kept going bigger and bigger. And like there is a limit to how far in a woman can facilitate anyway. So like there kind of has been set like a maximum dick size. If you're a witch and you could pick a familiar, what animal would you pick? And if you could have a mythical ability, what would it be? So I would pick a human because they are the most useful animal that you could pick to have as someone that could come to your beck and call and exist in your vicinity and take care of things. Like, why would you pick, like, what, a fucking seal? Like, well, good luck seeing them when you're inland. A cat? Well, all they can do is meow and eat your food. Like an eagle or a bird, well, yeah, they could fly, but I could get a human, and humans have drones, and they can also get on planes and helicopters, so, like, they could fly if I really needed them to. Like, I kind of feel like the best familiar is just, like, your own personal simp, I guess. Like, why would I pick any other animal? The most capable one is genuinely a human. And I say that as one that, I like animals. I do. I have lots of animals. I've done animal rescue for years before I started streaming. And I would still pick humans as my familiar. You know? Like, why would you have a guard dog when you could have a human with a gun? You know? Or even a chainsaw would be more useful. Exactly. Humans are animals too. I'd just pick a human. Way more OP than any of the other familiars. And as far as mystical abilities, for me or my familiar, because like I've always wanted to be like a wrathful goddess that lives in a wood, and anyone who comes into the wood and tries to harm any of the plants or animals just dies. And like, you have to respect the area, and you have to not, if you walk through, you can only walk through safely if you leave an offering for the animals or me. And I'd just preserve swathes of wildlife, and it would grow and grow, and like nobody would be able to prevent it from like growing into areas and stuff, just because like, what are you gonna do? Like, if you try to cut the trees down, you'll die. So I would just like protect nature if I could be any kind of witch or like supernatural being. What offerings would you accept? For me, ginger wine. If you wanted my blessing or curse, you'd have to leave me ginger wine. Like, if I was a mystical being and you left me a bottle of ginger wine, fine. Like, your ex has herpes now. Whatever. Like, if you've suffered some terrible injustice, there you go. Now their pee stings for the rest of their life. Whatever. Like, not cheesecake. No, what am I'm gonna live in a forest. Do you think I'm gonna have a fridge? Like, the wine doesn't need a specific temperature. Ginger wine. Has to be ginger wine. I'll get pissed. Mild curse. It will be rainy in your fucking town for 7 weeks if you give me the wrong wine. What's the most valuable thing in the whole universe, and specifically for us? That would be learning. Like, you are not a sentient being and you make no real choices on this earth until you learn. All the meaning that you get from your life will be found after you've learned. You don't get to choose how you impact the world or what's important about impacting the world until you learn about it. At its core, the most important thing you will ever do is learn. Because, like, sentience... Like, just your ability to think and feel is probably the most important thing about you, because it's the rarest thing that's ever happened in the universe, right? And your specific opportunity to be sentient is the most rare thing that you possess, because there are millions of other people that could have existed instead of you. So, like, you know, if your parents had fucked any other month and gotten pregnant instead of the specific egg and sperm that made you happen, then, you know, a completely different person would have been born. Someone entirely else, right? So, and there are so many genetic combinations and so many different people that your parents could have gotten with as well. So there are billions upon billions upon billions of other human beings that could have existed, but you got to exist. And don't get me started on which egg got fertilized and which sperm fertilized. There were so many different combinations there that could have happened. So, with that in mind, you could say that there is the ghost of 1 billion people who are mere possibilities because the chance of existence was solely given to you, okay? That means that every time you think or feel or emote or just perceive, every time you see or hear or smell or taste anything, you are doing one of the rarest things in the universe, one of the most privileged things in the universe, because so many other people could have been here, but it was you. But it was you. And so, like, the most important thing that you will ever have is just your own experiences. In part because, like, they're so unique to you. The way you taste, the way you hear, the way you see, the way you feel about the world, what you perceive, what you remember, what you don't, all of it is completely unique to you. Not only do you live in a completely unique universe, but you're living in a unique universe of your own that no one else will experience, because your perception of it is so unique to you. Nobody will ever be you again. And everything about that says to me that, you know, there are entire asteroids made of diamonds and gold. Like, all the precious metals and resources that we kill over are a dime a dozen in the universe. Incredibly common. The rarest thing we have on this planet is all this diverse life, is all these animals and bugs and all of these experiences and all of these lives that we are living. Existing matter that is sentient and able to perceive is like the rarest and most beautiful thing in the universe. So the most important thing you'll ever do is enjoy your existence, because you're a tiny little bit of the universe enjoying itself, and that is infinitesimally rare. Okay? So learn, enjoy, and live, because nothing will ever be more precious than those 3 things. And if you try to acquire shit, you'll just lose it, because you can't take it with you when you die. Like, death really clarifies what's important. And you'll realize it's your time, it's your experiences, it's your bonds, it's your feelings. It's all of those things. When you die, when you're on your deathbed, you're never going to think, I wish I'd made more money. Because it's not going to mean anything. You'll still end up on that same deathbed. You're never going to wish for more resources. The trivial aspect of those resources is going to really dawn on you when you run out of time. You can run out of resources 1,000 times in life. It will never hit harder than when you run out of time. So yeah, learn, live, you're doing it right. Because, like, most of the universe is unsentient blobs of mass. Like, there are whole orbs of gas, there are stars, there are asteroids, there are entire planets that are completely made of matter that will never live, perceive, taste, think, or hear, or do anything. You get to play computer games and shit, right? You get to laugh and do all of this crazy stuff. You get to be aware of your own existence. And there are things that have existed for quintillions of years out there, adrift in the universe, that will never think or feel or taste cheesecake or anything. They'll just drift as an empty husk of rock forever. And it's like, that's what fucking matters. You're sentient. Every time you perceive anything, you're doing the most important thing in the universe. Do you have to sleep TwitchCon tomorrow? I'm nocturnal, so even if I try to go to bed at a sensible time, I won't just fall asleep just because I need to. So it doesn't really matter when I go to bed. I will only sleep at the time that my body wants to sleep. So there isn't much point in me going to bed early. Funnily enough, though, there's someone here who's like, if you can't find enjoyment within the things that you perceive, then you have to find perception somewhere else to sustain happiness. You're extremely well articulate, and that's why I enjoy this channel. See, I don't think you always have to sustain happiness. I don't think you have to always be happy. And I think actually it's probably wrong to be, morally wrong to always be happy. Like, it's okay to be sad when sad things happen, but also sadness is part of the broad spectrum of experience. You're like, it's okay, like, it's important to experience anger. Anger is when you don't settle for how things are, so you fight to improve them. That's what that emotion is for, you know? Things like sadness and grief and fear, like, we see the value in them. We'll even pay to experience them. Like, we watch horror movies for a reason. We go on roller coaster rides for a reason. And they don't necessarily make you happy per se. A lot of them make you feel frightened, on edge, tense. And you can enjoy those experiences too. Like, you're not happy when you experience the tenseness of a horror movie. The tenseness in and of itself is the feeling you're seeking, and you want to experience it. Like, I kind of feel like all feelings are a privilege. Like, to know any feeling is a privilege, even the harsh ones. And also, like, the most important things that you will ever become are often shaped by the hardest moments in your life. So I kind of feel like a life without them would be incredibly hollow, and you'd probably become a really shitty person if you were always happy. Like, you need negative experiences to learn, and a lot of people who've suffered greatly have better empathy skills. A lot of people who have had to overcome challenges like anger management and things like that, you know, these are really invaluable fucking lessons that get applied to so much more in your life. So I don't know, I see the value in not always having to be happy, not always having to be satisfied with how things are. In fact, your dissatisfaction is an aspect of why we live the way that we do. You're watching the fucking internet because we were dissatisfied with our lives before the fucking internet. We were always improving things. We invented the wheel and the airplane and all these things because, you know, essentially dissatisfaction. Like, if we were happy with the wheel, we'd have stopped there. There is value to other feelings and experiences. I'm not always in the pursuit of happiness. There is more meaning to be found in all of the feelings than just fixating on constantly preserving one. And everything is over. Nothing lasts forever. Everything is over at some point. So like, if you're constantly grasping at happiness, you will have to keep losing the core of your motivation and reality over and over again, because things aren't going to be happy forever. If you can learn to thrive in every element, in every stage of your existence, there are going to be angry stages, happy stages, there are going to be tough stages, there are going to be good stages. You kind of need to see these things as phases rather than failings, ups and downs. No, that like, I feel like we're just constantly experiencing stuff. I don't think life really is ups and downs, not truly. Shut up! I love tits. Shut up! Shut up! What's the best way for people to find appreciation of nature if it's something that they've been blind to? I don't know. I can't force people to take a special interest in something. Like, I'm not as passionate about trains as some of my friends are. And I don't think that anything you did is just going to awaken me to the joys of trains and make me anywhere near as obsessed with them as like my other friends. And so just because I enjoy a nice walk doesn't mean that I need to come up with some fucking bottled strategy that I can launch at anyone who doesn't want to go for a walk and just look at flowers and shit. Like, I can tell you what a lot of plants are. I can tell you a lot about bird species and things like that. I don't expect everyone to feel that way about it. So I'm not really going to give you any advice to make you like less blind to my hobby. If you're more concerned with other things than just nature specifically, that's fine. You don't have to be interested in everything that I am. I can't give you a tip to force other people to be interested in the same things that you are. Unless you do it by force. Yeah, but I'm not going to strap someone down and like put matchsticks in their eyes, Clockwork Orange style, and just show them fucking bird watching and like fucking nature watch programs and shit. Like, I'm not gonna like sit there and like force them to read 18 books about fucking mushrooms and trees. Like, I'm not gonna like tase their balls whenever they can't answer a question correctly about fucking soil samples and, you know, like seasonal fucking vegetables or some shit. Like, I'm not... What do you want from me? That'd probably be very motivating. Depends on the person, really, to be honest with you. Tasing the balls is crazy. In most circumstances, yeah, I'd agree with you. AI will fix all the world's problems, including extinction of animals, so we can be lazy. I don't think it will. I don't think it'll fix everything. I think it's like gonna be a huge shift in the workforce, and it's gonna be a huge shift in a lot of things. I don't think it's gonna I don't think we're going to be able to be lazy, and I don't think it's going to eradicate everything or every last bit of effort. But like, could it create like a form of techno-socialism where we have like robots do all the menial labor, so nobody has to devote their life to cleaning toilets or like just mindless factory work and stuff like that? And if so, if we had governments that had endless robot swathes to do all of the industry standard stuff, could we have a universal income off of the back of that, so that living organic beings could just live their lives off the wealth of the robot slaves? I mean, we kind of live off slavery now within our capitalist society, but we export it to third world countries with fewer workers' rights. I wonder if we could just ethically make robots to take up the kind of the slaving element of it, so that we didn't have to cause misery and destruction for sentient beings anymore. Like, I've been thinking about this ever since I was a kid. Like, ever since I was little. Like, I used to write about it. I was home educated, and I wrote about this. Like, when I was at least like 7, 8, I think I came up with the idea, and like, I expanded on it multiple times during my stint in home education over the years. But I just genuinely think that we just need to have a robotic workforce that doesn't feel, doesn't think, doesn't get bored, that can do all of the manual labor that gives us zoochosis. Like, humans get zoochosis from having to do work in stupid little cubicles and offices and shit. So it would just make sense. And then that way you could do jobs as a voluntary thing, because all of your basic living expenses are covered. And then you could do work as an optional thing, and you could just choose work that you genuinely care about because it's optional, and you don't need to fixate on it for the profit. So you can just work on it because of your love of doing this thing. And that would give you extra income if you even wanted it. So we can focus on the things that matter. Yeah, the things that matter to us specifically. Do you think ADHD is a disease or not? Well, no, I kind of would question anyone who thought it was a disease. It's not like it's contagious. It's not like I can infect you with ADHD if I, like, I don't know, like, put my snot rag in your pocket or something, you know? If I spat on your shoe, I don't think you're going to magically get ADHD. When you call it a disease, you make it sound contagious. But, like, I feel like ADHD is real. Like, with almost 100% accuracy, you can scan the blood vessels in the back of children's eyes and accurately diagnose whether or not they have ADHD or not. Like, it's almost 100% predictor of whether or not a child has ADHD, which shows that it is genuinely physically changing the body, and that it is not just, you know, behavioral difficulties or psychological. You can't just grow out of it. You can't just be trained not to do the thing. Like, it's very, very clear that it's like an inbuilt aspect of the way that your brain functions, like that it's etched into your body. It's not just something that you can snap your child out of. It's a disorder, hence why it's being referred to as such. I have it somewhere. So I personally don't view autism or ADHD as a disorder. Personally, I view them as like a flavor of brain, and that we as a society have always relied on each other. We are squishy, we're vulnerable, we're pathetic, we're not very good fighters, we're not very good hunters, we're not very good at anything really specific. We're weak in that we can't survive most climates and have to adjust and artificially augment ourselves with things like clothes in order to stay warm or cool enough. Like, we are pretty fucking fragile. And if you take one of us and put us out in the wilderness, we die usually. Like, if I put you in the desert or in the middle of the ocean or in the middle of the jungle, it's very likely that you specifically are going to die, right? So we cooperate. That's how we survived. And if we all had the same skill set, we would have died out. So if every single person had an autistic mind, then we would have died out. If everyone had an ADHD mind, we would have died out. If everyone had a neurotypical mind, we would have fucking died out. The fact that we have lots of different types of brain structure that are more well suited, kind of like a skill tree. We have different people with different skill trees who have immensely different strengths, because the human mind is inadequate. And so it tends to overcompensate. So if you have a brain injury, for example, your brain, if the area of your brain that processes audio or processes visual information is damaged, the other parts of your brain compensate and they get stronger and better. So if you were to, for example, to lose your sight, your sense of smell and hearing might dial up immensely and become very, very acute. And nothing changed about your ears or your nose, only your brain did. And that suddenly heightened your senses immensely in some areas because the brain compensates. And I have ADHD and I have issues with things like memory, but I also have high acuity in areas that most other people don't as well. My brain has compensated, right? And so I genuinely think that it's necessary to have different types of brains in order for a society or a village or a tribe to survive. And I think that, honestly, as far back as we can go, if there was a way to identify whether or not people had autism, I think you'd find people who had autism 300,000 years ago, all the way up to now. The same with ADHD. I don't think that they're some sort of flaw with the human mind. I think that they are a type of mind that is adapted to specific scenarios. And I think you find more and more people with specialist minds in specialist circumstances. So I don't know. I have a few questions regarding the increase in the amount of people with ADHD and autism specifically, because there's so many ways we could look at this, right? You could say maybe we have more people with those because we're better at diagnosing it and they've just always been here. Maybe we have more people with those two conditions because we let them live now, whereas 50, 60 years ago, we'd have lobotomized them, we'd have institutionalized them, we'd have essentially ruined their lives and killed them in various ways. And now that we let this generation of people who are neurodivergent live, there are just more of them, and they're having more children and passing on these traits more often. And maybe that's it. Maybe it's that during our neurodevelopment, we are exposed to more information than any other creature in history has ever been exposed to, and that your brain develops differently under those pressures, and that iPad kids may have the shortest attention span but the most efficient brains that we've ever seen. You know, maybe brains just develop differently in this circumstance. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's our diet as well. Maybe, like here in the UK, we have additives that there has been no long-term study on how they affect humans and their bodies. Like we have additives that, you know, it says on the packaging, warning, this may cause symptoms of ADHD in children. Like there is that warning on some sweets and additives and colorings. And it's like, well, is that temporary? Is that permanent? Has anyone ever done a study of what exposure to these specific chemicals for 20, 30, 40 years would do? Because I don't think we did that before we started adding them to the food. Maybe our diet, environment, and input and development has just been wildly different to how humans have ever developed before. And so even though we've always had people with ADHD and autism, maybe now having that type of brain is more advantageous than it used to be, or at least less detrimental to your survival than it used to be. Any of these factors And so many more could be a reason why you see it more often now than before. But I genuinely think that you'd have more of a successful society if you had people who are neurotypical and neurotypical in it than if you only had neurotypical people. I think if you got rid of all the autistic people and all the people with ADHD, I think our societal progress would actually be hindered by it. I think if you could simulate this universe twice, and in one of it you eradicated all of the people who are neurodivergent, and in one of them you kept them all, the one where you kept them all would be more advanced, would have the more futuristic buildings and the faster tech, and would have the better laws and the more advancements. Not because I think that any particular mind type is more advanced, but just because having a combination of different people with different skill trees is more advantageous than not. And that's why if you play Marvel Rivals, you don't pick 6 healers, right? And that's exactly why I think that having brains that operate differently is actually pretty perfect for society. Hey, thanks Archangel, I appreciate it. Because like I can think of multiple applications for people with ADHD and autism in a tribe 3,000 years ago, 7,000 years ago, 20,000 years ago. Absolutely. If you're curious, I mean, we can change topics, but I could see why, like, if I had to go back to tribal living, I would want autistic people and ADHD people in my tribe. Free dick. Be the most alert. I don't know if it's about alertness though. I think it's more along the lines of like, there is a theory among scientists that ADHD people were more likely to be night owls, and therefore having people with ADHD to watch over the tribe at night naturally would mean that there was always people both during the day and during the night that were protecting your group from like not only invaders but also like saber-toothed tigers and stuff. We quite often cohabited in caves that had large predators in, which is terrifying. Like, you know that fear in the middle of the night when you wake up and you feel watched, or you look around and you feel nervous because you can't see every corner of the room because it's too dark? Maybe you had that as a child and you don't get it when you're older now, but that instinct to be like aware of the dark and be concerned about not being able to see everything in the room, I think that's instinctive because we used to have to cohabit in large cave complexes with predators, which would kill us, you know? So with that in mind, having a night owl, like, who's going to be hyperactive at night and be the most alert at 3 a.m. is going to be incredibly useful for your survival and protection. Also, autistic people tend to have higher visual perception and visual memory and visual learning, and usually, stereotypically, less audio learning. But this means that, you know, they have the ability to like pay attention to their surroundings in ways that are really, really important, and memory as well. So like, if I had someone who had like that kind of skill set, I would want them to be the ones to remember all of the fruit trees that bloomed on our travels, because cavemen were nomadic for many, many years. Before farming, we had to move constantly to follow herds and to stay warm, and we were migrating, basically. We migrated like many animals. And on your migration, you need to remember what's in bloom when. You need to remember what food sources were along the way, which areas were safe and which weren't. And people with long memory and high visual acuity tend to have an advantage in that area over other people. So like, Well, neurotypical people, I would love to have them for their organization skills and things like this. I would want ADHD people for like their alertness at night and their capacity to, you know, take the night watch. Even there's many other capacities, but the night watch would be a big one for me. You know, these sorts of things, like having diverse minds means that, you know, we have a problem solver for every situation. You need diverse skill sets, you know? So there are disadvantages to any type of brain you have. Every brain, every human I know has an inadequate brain. We are stupid little creatures. There is way more in the universe to know than we will ever fully understand. We don't remember half our lives or even a quarter of it. Like most of our existence falls through us like a sieve, and we don't actually keep most of the information that we try to retain. So we are inadequate little animals. We're not actually up to the task of being infinitely like intelligent and perfect for every scenario. So we just specialize and compensate for each other's deficits. And I think the more diverse our brains are and the more you accommodate for that diversity, the stronger your group becomes. Yeah, I feel like we are a very we have a lot of shortcomings as a species, and we overcome them by collaborating. Collaborating is our biggest strength. Yes. Where are you? Where am I? Fuck. Rotterdam. Crazy to hear so much car noise in Rotterdam at this hour. To be honest with you, it sounded like New York out there. There were loads of angry drivers earlier today. I was really surprised. Like, the only place I've ever heard that much beeping and anger was literally just New York. Like, the stereotype where they're like, hey, I'm walking here. Like, that is not an exaggeration. At all. At all. Like, they are terrible drivers, always running over each other, always honking, always zooming, always just pulling stupid maneuvers. I don't know why. I don't know what's in the water in fucking New York, but it just makes everybody incapable of driving in a civil manner or communicating in a civil manner either. Like, everyone's screaming and squawking at each other too. But like, in Rotterdam, last time I came, it was quiet, it was polite, it was pretty, it was calm. This time, there was a lot of fucking angry drivers everywhere. I don't know what happened. What's Rotterdam like, drivers aside? It smells cleaner than most cities. It has a lot of greenery, surprising amount of greenery. People are polite and calm by comparison to the UK. Like, the UK is pretty chaotic. Like, people who get drunk and people, there are a lot of people who are basically like orcs, you know? But like, here, even the drunks, I noticed, like, I've walked behind drunk people at night, and they're just a lot more chill and less likely to piss all over everything or come onto you or anything. They're just like quite... there seems to be a culture of quite civilness. I once lost my passport here, and in a bar, and the people there at the pub actually handed in my passport, and I just went and collected it and everything was fine. You probably wouldn't be able to do that in the UK most of the time. Like, people can do some shady things with passports, so they can be a resource, for example. So yeah, like, things are very nice, polite, civil. Everything works a lot better. Public transport is insane. Have you seen the trains here? I saw a double-decker train, and it looked on the inside like a posh boat. It looked like a cruise ship on the inside. It had, like, you know, rows upon rows of tables. Like, a table seat's a luxury in a train. Double-decker train, all of the seats had tables. It was so, and it just looked so advanced, and it just looked so, like, well built. There was just, like, yeah, everything about this place. The public transport, I don't know, the infrastructure, like, everything seems more eco-friendly. It's easier to find stuff that's, you know, products and things that are good for the environment and stuff. Like, it just seems like the future. It seems like a decent place to live and exist, and a healthier place to live and exist too. I'm a tram driver in Rotterdam even, and I'm going to be driving Line 8 tomorrow. That's really cool. Yeah, I've noticed that there's trams and there's like there's a lot of infrastructure for the people, you know. The roads are well made and they're easy to cross, and, you know, just everything is just well designed. It's almost like it's not designed purely for profit, and it's actually all designed for like human use, which isn't, it should be a given, but it's really, really nice. They're also planning to remove cars from the main city centre. That's crazy. I didn't know that. That's pretty cool. Shut up! You're a double-decker dick. Yes. But you're right, it is just generally very beautiful here. There's like really fancy, deep, dark red roses just growing in the streets everywhere, and I don't know. The architecture is insane. Some of the buildings look like they shouldn't exist, you know, because they just don't make sense. Like, they don't look like they should be able to hold themselves up, but they do. Like, there's like really cool buildings, there's beautiful street art, like, it's a cool place. Like, when I first came here the first time, I googled like how hard is it to move to Rotterdam, and apparently it's really, really fucking hard, because the people who live here are like, housing is rare and hard to get a hold of and expensive. And I'm like, god damn it. But also, given that climate change is happening, and, you know, that will involve rising sea levels and flooding, I feel like Amsterdam and Rotterdam are both like massive floodplains, so I don't think I'd want to live here long term, given that, you know, things aren't very secure. But I would, if I could live here for like 2 or 3 years, I'd take that opportunity in a heartbeat, because it's fucking awesome. One of my favorite places to come. I was really disappointed with Paris. I always bring it up, like on the scale of how cool places are, I feel like I put Paris like at the bottom. Like, Paris is my barometer for like the worst it could be traveling. I'm sure it could be worse, but for me, of all the places I've been, Paris has been the worst. I don't know if that makes me really lucky, but yeah, no. And that was despite it having a lot of cool shit. Like, it had the catacombs, loved that. Hung out with millions of dead people for the day. Pretty cool. And it also had like really good vegan bakeries with like amazing pastries and stuff, and that was pretty cool. But like, you go to the Eiffel Tower, and the area around the Eiffel Tower is really pretty, really clean, really well maintained, and you travel for 10 minutes or 15 minutes. Like, the amount of time you travel out from the center with the Eiffel Tower, the more dystopian the city becomes. And like, you will go from like Eiffel Tower to dumpster fires and, you know, dystopian Last of Us set. Like, they could have shot The Last of Us in Paris and you'd never fucking know. Like, it just looks like it's like dystopia ready. Like, its societal collapse has already happened in the outskirts of Paris, right? So yeah, Paris was the worst place I've been. also, what the fuck? I took an Uber and the guy gave me like 0 stars for no good reason. I still don't understand what the fuck I did. I had a perfect 5-star rating. And that guy picked me up, took me somewhere else, barely said 2 words to him. I just sat in the back, quietly, and then got out of the car, said thank you very much. I'm kind of worried it was just because I said thank you in English. I think they just didn't like me because I was English, because apparently that's a thing. But I did nothing wrong. So, yeah, like, I don't know. I still feel like the worst place I went was Amsterdam. No, wait, Paris. It was Paris. And the second worst was probably New York. Even though I had a lot of fun there and I met a lot of cool people there, New York is not that great. It is a smellier, more expensive London, and I don't even like London. And then I think London is after New York on the tier list. Because London is overpriced, expensive, and dangerous. Like, you want a free fucking stabbing with your McDonald's? Go to London. Like, London is just... you spend a million years in traffic waiting around to overspend on something very fucking basic. Like, there's a lot to London that makes me like, ugh. Like, not amused. Not fond. Nope. Birmingham is better than London. I didn't see much of Birmingham. I flew there by accident once because I'm an idiot, and I booked a flight somewhere. I think it was literally to New York, and for some fucking reason, right, it flew me to Birmingham, and then from Birmingham to London or something. It flew me to Birmingham first for no good reason. Right? And I thought I was getting on the plane. I didn't check the details, and I got on the plane, landed in Birmingham. I got on a plane in the UK and landed in fucking Birmingham. So that wasn't great. Which city do you find the most beautiful? San Diego? I think San Diego, honestly. Ah! Have you ever been to Istanbul? No, never have. And when I was young, we had this really shiny, small man with no hair. And like, he was very distinctive looking. And he was teaching us for a specific lesson in uni. And he said that we should all fly to Istanbul because the earthquake's going to take out all the historic buildings one day. And we might be the last generation to go and appreciate it. And then I didn't go there. And I think a bunch of earthquakes happened. And I went, guess I missed my window anyway. And just kind of wrote it off my mental list. But that's probably absolutely false. Ooh. We'll have to ask the shiny small man. Yeah, he was great. He was like a very, very enthusiastic baked bean. Like, that would be the best way I could characterize him. If I was going to make, like, an animated version of him, I would make it a little baked bean with, like, big energy. He would essentially be, yeah, exactly that. That is the perfect emoji for him. But he was like really captivating. He knew how to tell a story. He knew how to get you to remember stuff. Because I barely remember anyone from uni now, but I definitely remember him. And I think I was tall. I think I'm taller than him. Yeah, and he was very, very bombastic and enthusiastic, and like his voice really carried, and you know, he knew how to make a bunch of teenagers pay attention. Do you still play WoW? I don't think I've ever played WoW. I think like my ex tried to get me interested in WoW many years ago. And at the time he was dragging me really fast through everything without me getting to learn anything properly or remember anything, because he wanted to just catch up with his mates and he just wanted me to tag along with that. So I didn't really get to appreciate the game back then, and never had much of a reason to go back because I just played other games. I love you. Shut up. Shh. Are you still playing Frostpunk? I haven't recently. They changed it and I couldn't be asked to learn the new changes. So I've put off going back to it because it's just had an update that's made it a bit more complex. And I'm like, now every time I played it to unwind, and now it's a project because I have to do a bunch of studying to enjoy it again. And I was like, no, another time. Yeah, thank you ever so much. You have a great night too. Woo! But yeah, I should probably go, guys. It's been fun hanging out, but it's getting pretty late, and I do have a lot to get up to tomorrow. But thanks for hanging with me, and I'll see you again soon, okay? Yeah, thanks for all the follows and the subs. And thanks for hanging out with me when it was quite an off-schedule stream and quite late as well. But you all take care of yourself. And BVP, thank you ever so much for the sub. I appreciate it. Thanks for the 78 month. You all have a good night now. Goodbye.